Thank you for joining us on another episode of Popcorn for Breakfast with your co-host Kirk.
Hello, hello.
I am your other co-host Cam, and it is PFB on a Tuesday night for those of you listening on the stream. Date of recording on this guy is Tuesday, April 27th, 2021. We are so glad you're here with us. And if you're listening to us in podcast form, then it is at least Friday, April 30th, at least at the earliest.
Wow.
So welcome in. We got a little bit of a different cadence of shows this week. So that is due to the fact that we had the Oscars on Sunday night. And so if you listened on Monday, then you heard our reactions to the Oscars from Sunday. And then if you listen to the podcast tomorrow, Wednesday, the 28th, you will hear our Spilled Popcorn review and analysis of the season finale of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which we haven't even recorded yet. So we're doing things in crazy order. We're getting all wacky this week, but I like it. Keeps us on our toes, right, Kirk?
Definitely. It definitely keeps me on my toes because I'm a man of routine. And so when we do the podcast, I have to stay flexible because life happens.
You gotta shake it up.
Gotta get ready.
That's right. So because we're shaking things up and we did not have our normal What's Poppin' Monday episode, we are not doing What's Poppin' today. So Oscars post show was your What's Poppin'. That's the big news, okay? But we are reviewing a brand new film called Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat.
That's right. We're talking Mortal Kombat, another video game movie. I think 2021 is going to be the year of the video game movie. I think we got a lot of good video game movies coming out. Well, whether they're good or not remains to be seen, but we've got some big name properties. Between 2021 and 2022, the video game movies are coming back in a big way, and we're kicking it off this year with Mortal Kombat. So we're going to get into that. And then our Game Master, Kirk, is back. He's back. He has awoken from his slumber. We haven't really had time for games lately, and Kirk was getting sad. I could feel it.
Yes.
I could feel that his chi was off a little bit. Mm-hmm. And so he said, I've got a mystery game. And I said, say no more, because it wouldn't be a mystery if he said any more. So I had to just let it go. But I can't wait to see what you got for us, Kirk.
Oh, yes. I love how I gave it to you 1 minute before broadcast time. I said,
that's how I like it.
I said, Cam, tonight there's a game. You're like, what? Like, yeah, there's a game. You're like, you have a game? I do. And here it comes. Not right now, but at the end of the episode here. So
see, to me,
stay tuned.
The best creative fusion happens when you are not prepared for things. You just have to go. You just close your eyes and run full speed ahead. I think that's the way to do it.
That's right. You are completely improving it. You have no idea what you are in for. It's just pure chaos.
Unlike the Glenn Close Twerkathon on Sunday night, which was definitely not improv and was definitely scripted. And I will fist fight anyone who wants to argue otherwise. I am convinced of it. I'm convinced.
Have you seen the articles surrounding it, Mr. Cam?
No.
Oh, yes. There are articles already out. I scoped them. I should have sent them to you. Yeah. But she knew the game was coming. Yeah. That Lil Ray Howard was going to host it. She knew the questions that were going to be asked.
Of course.
She actually had enough time that she researched the dance, the song, the whole thing.
Well, obviously, she recited this whole thing about this go-go band in Washington, D.C.
Like, why would Glenn Close have that in her head? That makes no sense. And then she said she even watched the music video, and that part was not decided on, she said, but she decided in the moment that she was going to do the dance, which she did. So it was 100% scripted. It's just that she improv briefly in it. So it's all a lie. Hollywood is all a lie.
It's all a lie. We already knew that, but it's even more of a lie than we already knew. So
that's okay. That's okay that Hollywood is a lie. But
it is.
Do better. Do better, Glenn Close.
Just make it a more believable lie. That's what I want. I want to not know. I want to be blissfully unaware.
Had she not known like all those facts, known them,
I know. She should have slowed played it. She did a decent. I mean, she's a good actor. She sold it okay, but it was just it got to overkill with the facts, and I was like, this is a bunch of baloney. No
one knows that specific of facts about songs from that era. Like that's crazy. That's crazy knowledge.
No.
So, anyways, I'm here to tell you and here to put your heart at ease, Cam, that Glenn Close spilled the popcorn that she was scripted last night.
Scripted. She caught herself in 4K. That's okay. Well, we still love you, Glenn Close. I mean, I still do. I'm still okay
Yeah.
with it. But I hate the Oscars because even though the movie selection this year was awesome, and I was glad that we got the movies that we did, the show for the millionth time was awful. The show was
Yes.
just awful. It was just boring, and they had no fun. There was no fun. So
None.
bring the fun back to the Oscars. That's the campaign for next year. Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back. Okay, like I said, we've got a movie to review. We've got a game to play. So we'd better get going. Here's the thing. For those of you guys that are new to the program or coming back to us after a while, we are so glad you're here. Just a reminder, we do spoiler full reviews. Spoiler full. No longer spoiler free movie podcast. We are spoiler full. So if you are trying to stay away from the spoilers on Mortal Kombat, I'm going to have to kindly ask that you leave and then come back to us after you watch it. And this movie is available to stream on HBO Max for the next month. So go get it if you have that subscription, or go be a patron at your local movie house. They would be thrilled to have you. I know they would be.
They would.
Okay, so let's talk Mortal Kombat. It's my week to synopsis. And here's a question. If I just sang the Mortal Kombat theme song, I feel like that would be better than me synopsing the movie. Correct?
I'll allow it.
I'll do both. Okay. Mortal Kombat. Okay. What were you doing? You were like not even on the beat.
I was drumming.
That was my moment, Kirk, and you stole it. It's okay. I forgive you. I forgive you. You were trying your best. But that's I love the Mortal Kombat theme song. I wish it would have been in this movie a little bit more. They did play it for those. There's one spoiler for you right there. They do play the Mortal Kombat theme song. They give it a little cinema flair. But this movie, Mortal Kombat, based on one of the most popular video game franchises of all time, Mortal Kombat, with a K, not with a C. Basically, the story here is that centuries ago, there was a feud between Sub-Zero and Hanzo Hayashi, and who ends up becoming Scorpion. And the bloodline of Hanzo, who gets killed by Sub-Zero in the past, continues on in this new character named Cole. And there is this tournament that happens every so often to fight for, to rule over the Earth realm. Earth has lost the last few times. If they lose again, they're outie. The outer world gets to take over. And so the outer world is like, we got to win this thing. And there's this prophecy coming that, the bloodline of Hanzo is going to rise up and fight the outer world and win. And so it's time for the Mortal Kombat tournament. And so all these fighters are figuring out that they're like the chosen one for the chosen ones, I suppose, for this Mortal Kombat tournament. And they are gathering and learning about all this new information and getting their powers and getting ready to go. That's basically it.
That's beautiful. That's perfect.
Yeah, so that's our story. And from there's lots of fighting. There's lots of blood. There are people getting sliced in half. There are people getting laser beams shot through the center of their stomach all the way through. There's people getting their arms frozen and broken off. It's just...
Yes.
It's Mortal Kombat is what it is. It's Mortal Kombat. So let's get into it. Let's get into the nitty gritty. We're going to start with superlatives. I'm going to kick us off with, and the Oscar goes to, having just had the Oscars. My Oscar tonight is going to an actor by the name of Mehcad Brooks, who played Jax. He played Jax. And Jax is an ex-Special Forces agent who is one of the chosen people for this tournament. He has a battle early on in the movie with Sub-Zero that leads to him getting his arms frozen and busted off and basically kicked into a pit. And he survives that, and he gets these awesome robot arms and just tears stuff up. So did you ever, before we go further, did you ever play Mortal Kombat, Kirk?
I did. I not like all the time, just as is, when I was finishing up The Lion King and Aladdin, I'd hop over to Mortal Kombat for a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds like we were in the same era of Mortal Kombat. I didn't like continue. I still play video games, but like Mortal Kombat is not a franchise that I've stuck with.
Mhm.
It's one that I remember from when I was younger. So I was glad that they went with some familiar characters here, like Sonya and Liu Kang and Kano, and there were some familiar characters, but Jax being one of them. And I thought that Makad Brooks, who played Jax, he didn't have a ton of dialogue, but he brought a presence that was desperately needed in this movie of just like the dialogue, the written dialogue in this movie was not very good. And so he just kept it minimalistic. Didn't over deliver his lines. He just kept it really low key. There was obviously some improv going on with him where he was kind of just like taking what the point was that he had to get across and making it a more natural transition. You could really feel that. And I thought that he's not been in many big movies, but he felt like the savvy veteran actor that I like, who kind of glues the production. I often pick these people for best actor, people who take something that's maybe not a great situation or not great screenplay or something like that, and they work with it and they make it something. And I thought that Makad Brooks, our Jax, I thought he 100% did that. So he gets my Oscar tonight.
That is a beautiful choice, Mr. Makad. He was in True Blood. I watched the first couple of seasons of that when it first came out. Right? He was Eggs, yeah, and he was pretty awesome. He's just like a suave dude. He's really cool. My Oscar, I don't know that people will enjoy my choices. And after my Oscar choices that I had, that my picks, I'm just curious about my entire scope, my entire compass of movies. I don't get it anymore.
Questioning yourself.
So I'm in this spiral of, oh my gosh, I'm wrong. But
don't lose your confidence. Just go.
Hopefully this just gets me back on track. This movie is, not like, this isn't going to be in the Oscars 2022, ceremony, but I have to say that the actor that won it for me was someone who was also very committed with terrible dialogue. His name is Josh Lawson, who played Kano, ladies and gentlemen, in Mortal Kombat. This guy, out the gate, talk about commitment through and through. He's an Australian native actor, and he just speaks his native tongue, his native accent, and he just goes crazy through every aspect of this. He is definitely the comic relief. He is definitely the kind of the grotesque anti-hero in this, and then he becomes literally the villain and then comes back. And I don't know the full scope or story of Kano in the video game, but dude, if I was playing the video game right now, I would pick Kano, because there are moments in this movie. I talk a lot about physicality on this show, and there are moments in this where he legitimately looks like he's hovering in Mortal Kombat, like in a very rigid military-esque way, as it appears to be his costume. Like there's one specific moment near right at his introduction where a bunch of crazy demon things, it's like the invisible dragon thing that pops up,
the Psyloth.
The Psyloth, yeah. When they fight that, and there's this low angle camera that you get on him, and you see him in his stance, and it's like, holy cow, that he is a video game character, 100%.
Yeah, he's holding the still beating heart, and he's like, Kano wins. Yes. That is the most money thing in the whole movie, for sure.
Yes, and I just got to give it up to him. I hope that we see him in more. He's got 100 credits on IMDb. It's kind of nuts, just from different TV shows and Australian-based shows. And I really hope that while this movie is not the best of the best movies, I hope that he gets some recognition in some more films, because gotta hand it to him. He was great.
Yeah, I like the new blood that we got in this movie. There were a lot of actors that I haven't got to see before, working their magic, and it's good to see that. I like to see a new cast. I like to see some new players on the scene, so that was good. Josh Lawson's getting my scene stealer. So moving into scene stealer, Kano, he's my scene stealer. Here's something funny. I moved into the house that I'm currently in during COVID, and shortly after, my neighbors who I had kind of gotten acquainted with socially distanced, they moved and somebody else moved in. And the only thing, because it's COVID, I haven't really gotten to chat up my new neighbor, but her dog's name is Kano. And I'm like, she's got to be a Mortal Kombat fan.
Wow.
I mean, has to. At first I thought it was Kato, and then I was like, that could be a number of different things. That could be Green Hornet. That's a common-ish name. But then once it was Kano, I was like, hold on now. So I just visualize my neighbor playing Mortal Kombat, and that's probably like not even accurate. It's probably something totally different. But
We should get like a backyard, like a giant screen, and get a video game system back there, and you just like play it so she can see it. Be like, wait a second,
right?
Wait, no, I want the
So
verification.
we can build some bonds there. Yeah,
That's right. That's right.
I'll let you know if there's an update. I'll let you know if I can confirm that the dog is named after Kano. But anyway, Kano was my scene stealer. Josh Lawson. I thought he was great for all the same reasons that you said. I thought that for a movie that is as crazy, violent fighting as it was, it really needed some energy, and Josh Lawson brought it. He brought all of it. I mean, I think there was a huge burden on his shoulders, and he carried it really well. I thought he was the right man for the job, and he was screaming in most of his scenes, which again brought the energy level up. And I don't know, he had a good character arc, probably the best in the whole movie, and I liked it. His dialogue was better than everybody else's. They gave him lots of fun lines to say, and they kind of like let him be absurd and crazy, and maybe he was improvising some of that stuff. Whatever the situation, he was a much necessary character in this movie to give it some life, and I was glad he was around for the ride. So that's my scene stealer, Josh Lawson.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. He's a beautiful man. I will have to say that my scene stealer goes to Hiroyuki Sanada, who plays Hanzo/Scorpion.
Yeah.
This guy has been on my radar for quite some time. I don't know if you guys remember, there was a film called The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise, and that's when he caught my attention. That's the first introduction I've seen him in, and this man is just a martial arts genius. And on top of that, he really is a fantastic actor. He has all these different tricks up his sleeve, all these different tools in his hat that he pulls out, and every time I see him, he's just a little bit different because you could easily play the martial arts hand every time. If you are a martial arts expert and you are a martial arts film actor. No, he actually takes the time to really consider what's happening in his role. And that's something that's very different from the scope of other martial arts movies, where he's very, very nuanced, very careful, very intentional about what he's going for. So I really enjoyed every performance that I see of him, and super happy that he was in this role. And I hope to see him in Mortal Kombat 2, which I can only imagine they're going to make. I hope they do.
Well, they tease it pretty heavily. They tease it pretty heavily there at the end. So we'll get into that a little bit. Was there a post-credits scene?
Oh no, I didn't check.
I don't know that there was, because I waited through the mid-credits, which I thought is where they would put it, and then I was like, I'm tired. I shut it off. So I don't know. Maybe I'll Google that real quick while we talk here. But okay, so we've given out our acting superlatives. Let's move over to the production side of the movie. Let's talk about what this movie did well and what it didn't do so well. But let's start on the good note. Let's go with showstopper. My showstopper here specifically is the fatalities. Finish him. I wanted to see that. That is the best part of any Mortal Kombat game. The grotesque, gory violence of the fatalities. They were true to the game. And I thought that, I went into this movie and I try my hardest not to make preconceptions about movies. That's why I chose not to watch the first 7 minutes whenever they released it. I just wanted clear mind. I never read any reviews. I never read anything. I just go into it blind. And I have to admit that I was going in totally expecting to give this movie a showstopper on visual effects, because in the trailer, it looked so good. And there are certainly parts of the visual effects that were really good, but it was inconsistent. There were times where things looked bad. I thought the invisible lizard guy looked awful. I thought Liu Kang's fire dragon thing looked awful. This movie had a really high bar to clear in terms of visual effects. They were trying to do all kinds of things. Laser beams out of people's eyes. Sonya Blade being able to shoot like blasts out of her hands. There was a lot. There were some characters that were fully CGI'd. There was a lady with bat wings. There's a lot going on. But it was clear that some things were really well baked and other things were not. And so I can't give it to visual effects, but I have to say that the fatalities themselves, people being sawed in half on Kung Lao's hat thing that was spinning in the ground, and what's her face, the girl with the teeth who like has a snake mouth, I can't remember, getting blasted and having like the core of her stomach blown out and all you can see is her spine. Like that stuff is what I came for, and it was money, and they they did a good job. I mean, that's what Mortal Kombat is to me. It's those crazy scenes, and they did a really good job, and it felt like the video game, so that's my showstopper.
That's fantastic. You're right. The visual effects were hit or miss. There was one critical like scene with the shield where they like encase themselves to protect themselves.
Yeah, like
against
the electric
Dark Lords.
shield. Yeah,
I like it looked terrible. I'm like,
it
did you
didn't look good.
try? Did you run out of money on this scene? Like, it didn't make any sense. And then it was very prevalent for the for like 6 more shots.
Dude,
and I'm
but like the Sub-Zero ice effect was
that's
cash.
where the money was. That's where the money was.
Yeah, I mean,
all
that's
day
what
long.
the trailer showed, so I was like, wow, that is great.
Yeah, they didn't mess around on that. There's so many good visual effects. It's kind of shocking to see what got missed, what didn't get enough attention. I got to go very plain and simple as well. The combat, the fact that we have real actors who can actually fight each other. A lot. Let's take it back to like Iron Fist in the first season on Netflix, where you had this actor who was of Game of Thrones fame, but he didn't really know how to do martial arts combat, martial arts, let alone martial arts stage combat. So you had all these actors who were invested in this, and they've probably grown up with this and have mastered this skill. So to see them get to put into effect all of these moves, and specifically all the moves you remember by hitting those specific game codes, like that's pretty cool. Like it was pretty special to see that come to life. Like you knew what was specific for the screen, and then you saw the intentionality of the camera and the director and the actor when it was going to be an actual move from the game, and that was pretty cool to see. I wish I knew more of the moves specifically. I could identify when they were happening, but I couldn't tell you like what the actual swing, kick, swift, flip, somersault was. I can't do that unfortunately today. But since stage combat on this, all the fight scenes, fight choreography wins it for me.
Yeah, I thought all of the hand-to-hand combat, to your point, was really good. I thought it was great, and it was only sometimes when the special effects got involved that it sort of took you out of it. But the actual, when they were like coming to blows, and if there were characters that were just kind of like strictly hand-to-hand type characters, those scenes were always top-notch, I thought. So it's a good call. Let's move over to the other side of the coin and director shoes, which are which is like the big thing or things we would change about the film. For me, where this movie really struggles is pacing. I think the pacing's all over the place, which is not something I expected. I don't know. I expect a movie like this to throw caution to the wind and just lean heavily on fight sequences and kind of blow off the plot. But they spent a lot of time trying to make this plot work, and the plot just wouldn't work. I thought the opening sequence was wrong. I just thought that wasn't the way you start the movie. I think it would have worked better if we started with a more grounded scene where it's like, maybe this new character who I kind of hated, Cole. Like, I don't know why they even introduced this character. It was kind of pointless, but I won't get into that. But like, maybe start with him and his story. And then like when he meets Sonya Blade, then have her do like a voiceover narrative thing over the Hanzo Sub-Zero fight, because that part was confusing. It was a little too lore heavy. It went on for far too long and kind of took me out of it right at the beginning. Yep. And then from there, it just had no flow. It didn't have any feel to it. It felt like the editor didn't really know what kind of movie they were trying to make, and they were just kind of thinking like, here's a good chunk, but it didn't flow as a consistent movie. And so it accelerates, and then it slows way down, and it stays slowed down for a long time, and then it's like big, and then I don't know. It was crazy, and it made it really hard to stay locked in and focused on this movie. And I would rather see them just go hard the other way and, at the expense of the plot, just go crazy fast and high speed, because that's what people are coming to this movie to see. They want to see the fighting. They want to see the action. And if the plot loses out because of that, people are going to go, it's a video game movie. That's what I came to expect. And a fighting video game movie, no less. So I think it needed a few more passes on the edit for sure.
Excellent. Well said. I would have to say my biggest frustration with this movie was the score, because there were moments that were part of these slower moments that you talked about, but the music was like some of the biggest swells, like it was the most dramatic thing happening, and they were literally just talking about like, yeah, I'm gonna go back home. I think I'm gonna quit this thing because look at my arms, like that's not like a huge moment. It's a somber moment, and the music was so loud, and that I was like, what is happening? What are we doing in the background here, guys? So throughout, the stakes of each scene were very misaligned with the music. And then you even get to the big fight scenes at the end, and you think that you think that it can't grow, you can't build anymore, and then they drop it down because they can't go anywhere, and then they build it back up. Even like in the middle of a fight scene, I'm like, stop! What are you guys doing? This needed to be paced more correctly. So I have to say that whoever did the score, I'm a little upset with them for this movie.
Yeah, also like not too much incorporation of the iconic Mortal Kombat theme. I mean, if
Right?
that's your audience, you gotta play your hits, man. And they finally do it in the scene between Scorpion and Sub-Zero, which was the best scene in the movie. And
Right.
partially because they brought in the music and they built it up right, and it was really well done from an from a special visual effects standpoint, etc. But yeah, the music. I mean, it all goes with that flow. There just wasn't. There wasn't a feel. There wasn't a consistency. It just felt. It just meandered. It meandered around and didn't really know who it was as a movie. It just kind of didn't have an identity. So that hurts it. Good call. Usually I'm the one who picks the music, Kirk. Kudos, bonus points there. Love it.
Thank you.
All right, let's move into final thoughts and score. Let's move into the final round, if you will. Wow, that was so bad. I hate myself because I thought about that like 5 minutes ago, and I thought that's really dumb, and I still did it. Like I have no filter, and I do have a filter, but it failed. It just it identified the threat and then was like,
Oh, see, I loved it. I actually loved it. So
thank you, Kirk. That's what I need. Actually, that's what I don't need. You're encouraging it. But let's do overall thoughts and scores. I feel like I've been nice, Cam, a lot recently. I feel like I've been kind of nice, and I don't really know why. There could be a number of factors for that. I haven't been overly nice. Let's be clear. I don't regret any of my scores. But this movie did nothing for me, so I got nothing nice to say about this movie. I just thought the plot was overly confusing and not constructed well. The acting performances I thought were rough. And I think that, that's always a two-way street, because the writing has to be good, and the writing wasn't great either. There wasn't enough fighting, I didn't feel like, and the fight sequences were weirdly spaced and weird lengths. Like they were really weird lengths of time. So this movie just lacked feel. It lacked flow. I thought it had a few really good moments. I thought most of the time that Sub-Zero was on the screen, that it was good. The ice visual effects were good. The fight sequences were usually good. And obviously, like the Hanzo Scorpion / Sub-Zero situation was the best part of the whole movie. But overall, it's not enough to salvage it. And I thought that they do this a lot of times in video game movies for some reason. They introduce this new character as the protagonist because they know that some people are going to come in not knowing anything about it. And they're like, well, let's throw them a bone. This character just felt totally out of place in this movie. He was not well developed. His storyline wasn't great. We're supposed to care about him and his family, but they don't really make us care about him and his family. It's just very shallow and not well developed. And so I was like, why are we even doing this? Why can't we just make somebody else the main character? So it was a failed narrative device, and it kind of blew the movie. A lot of things did. So for me, it's a 3.7 out of 10. I'm not going higher. I think you could easily walk into this movie and just be like, I'm going to scroll my phone during the talking and watch the fighting, and I'll be happy, or eat my popcorn or go to the bathroom during the talking and watch during the fighting. And that's all fine and well. But for me, it misses the mark in multiple places. So it's a 3.7 out of 10.
I think that's a respectable number. I do. This movie is just meant for the kicks and the punches. It really is. That being said, I will say we should do a ranking sometime of all the video game movies. I'd like to pull them together.
Definitely. We're getting close to having quite a good slate. I think we probably already do, but I want to wait for Uncharted. Maybe when Uncharted comes out, we can do
There we
a
go.
ranking.
There we go. This movie was so good. It made me yawn the whole time. It really did. It also put me to sleep. I actually I did not fall asleep entirely, but I do not remember the last like 2 minutes of this movie. Even though I know I was actively awake, it's a little forgettable. A lot of this movie is forgettable. You just remember the big highlight moments, the big punches, the big visual effects that were effective. I had a hard time with the main character as well, this Cole guy, because he ended up having his superpower was basically the Black Panther suit, where he absorbed energy and then he could kick it back out. And his suit looked like Aquaman's suit. Like, what were they doing here?
It looks bad, man. It looked like he was wearing like sweatpants with it. I don't know what was going on.
It did. It really did. It really fell apart at the end. But that being said, I also feel like it's as crazy as it is. I felt like this was one of the best video game movies I've seen. Like, it didn't have good connections. It didn't have a great left hook or anything, but at the same time, I could follow it all the way through. I didn't have to really have any background or had to have played Mortal Kombat for 10 hours before coming into this movie. And maybe it's because that's what Mortal Kombat is. There's a big fight. You have people fighting. You're just trying to get through it, trying to win. So maybe that's what it has going for it. But although I don't think it was great, it was honestly better than what's some other video game movies that we've seen recently that were terrible.
Sonic.
Oh yeah, Sonic for sure.
Sonic the Hedgehog. I mean,
that Assassin's Creed movies,
Prince
this
of
is
Persia,
far better. This just made way
Tomb
more
Raider.
sense. And I feel like this movie is going to get a lot of traction later on because it's better than the first one that came out in the 90s, for sure.
Yeah, sure.
Through and through. Regardless
low bar
of
to clear
era.
there, but yes.
Yes. So I'm going to give Mortal Kombat a 4.2 out of 10.
There it is. Well, that's Mortal Kombat. I think so we teased it, so we have to talk about it. At the very last scene of the movie, they sort of set up a sequel because we see our new character, Cole, who's like a boxer. He is like a boxer who just like goes in and gets paid money to get the crap beaten out of him at a local gym, and he's going and cleaning out his locker because he's found a new purpose in life, and he's supposed to go out and find new fighters for Mortal Kombat. And he's like, you know, his name in the credits is just referee. He comes up and he's like, hey, you're finally quitting? He's like, yeah, I gotta go to Hollywood. And they show a poster on the wall and it's Johnny Cage. And so I'm like, that's cool. Like, if you're a Mortal Kombat fan, that's a really a decent moment for you. But like, it felt to me like they couldn't decide who they were making this movie for. Was it for the hardcore fans, which in my opinion it should have been, or was it for mass appeal? And that's always kind of the scale that you have to balance. And it's, you know, it's not an easy one to balance. So I give them some credit for that, but it fell a little flat in my opinion.
For sure. There are early reports. What's the name of that character again?
Johnny Cage.
There are early reports, early petitions that people want Ryan Reynolds to play Mr. Johnny Cage.
I mean, we want Ryan Reynolds to play everybody. That's what
right.
That's what everybody wants. I mean, that's like always the fan casting of everything. He would have been like, I think probably because that Kano character was sort of reminiscent of Deadpool in some ways. Like,
sure.
In the way that he spoke and things like that. So I don't know. It wouldn't be a bad casting. I'm not saying that. I'm just like, it's not the most thoughtful casting.
No.
It's a little lazy, but that's okay. It is Mortal Kombat. All right. That's our review of Mortal Kombat. If you guys checked out Mortal Kombat, let us know your thoughts. As always, we have a Discord server. I will throw the link at the bottom here. It's in the description. So go to the description and click the link on our Discord server. And that is if you're listening in podcast form or on the stream. And we can chat about it. We have a channel in there called Spoiler Alert where we can talk about new movies and let the spoilers fly. People know to kind of like avert their eyes, you know, if they're not caught up on things. So come chat with us in Discord. It'll be a good time. Interested to get some different points of view on this movie because like I said, it's always interpretive, and I think that if you were expecting it to be awful, it might be really good. In your opinion, I had no expectations. I was like pretty even keeled, and I thought it was bad. So who knows? Perception is reality. So let us know what you think about Mortal Kombat. All right, Kirk, talk to me, brother. What are we doing? What is this game?
Well, before we begin this game, I have one thing to share. I feel terrible. Earlier on, I did start drumming during your Mortal Kombat music singing.
Yes.
And I feel like it's only fair for you to end the review going into our game for you to sing again, and I will keep my hands.
No, I don't want to sing again.
In my pocket.
Honestly,
No, go ahead.
No, I really don't. I really don't.
Stop. Do it.
I'm not going to.
My hands will stay in my pockets.
No, it's okay. I really don't want to. I don't want to sing the song. I don't want to sing the song. I already got to sing it, and I was good with it.
Okay.
I'm not mad.
Can you edit out my audio for that later in post? Oh,
I cannot, and that's okay. I think it's better that way because it would be hard to edit because then there's me yelling at you, which I shouldn't have done. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay.
You could take out my audio, but then still just leave the yelling in.
Leave the yelling, and people will be like, "Wow, this guy is a huge jerk." No, all seriousness, we're good.
All right. Well, I'll allow it.
But if you do it again, I'm just kidding. Can I play some music under this game?
I would love it.
Okay,
yes, please.
Here we go. Should I start it now? Right now?
Now. Oh, I hear it.
Here it comes.
Get those drums. All
right, what do we got?
This game is called Mortal Movies.
Love it. That was a very thoughtful name of this game. Lay it on me. What do we got?
Mortal Movies. Okay, so Mortal Kombat, the original came out in, I believe, 1995.
That's correct.
Mid-90s. So I went ahead and I pulled up a bunch of 90s movies, and we're going to have them go toe-to-toe. So what I'm going to do, it's going to be one 90s movie versus another's 90s movie, and you have to tell me who's going to win and what's their uppercut.
Okay. I like it.
This is Mortal Movies. You ready, Cam?
I was born ready for this.
We're going to kick it off with Forrest Gump versus Jurassic Park.
Ooh.
Who's going to win this fight? And what is the uppercut?
The uppercut. Jurassic Park wins the fight. It's a timeless classic. Not Mortal Kombat. Forrest Gump is an incredible movie. Deserves all the accolades and to be shown on TV 1,000 times a day because it is such a great movie. But the uppercut for Jurassic Park is how it withstands the test of time. I mean, the visual effects, because they use puppets and like real practical effects, that movie holds up, and there's just something so magical about that movie. It's in a league of its own. So it's Jurassic Park for me.
I like how you said a league of its own because Tom Hanks was in a league of its own and also Forrest Gump, and he just lost. So I would also say Jurassic Park. I would also say, man, that movie is timeless. People 100 years from now are going to be watching that and being like, holy cow, how did they do this? So that was my softball. Now it's going to get trickier. You ready?
Yes.
It's going to get really hard, really, really hard. You ready for this? Mm-hmm. Next one up, The Truman Show.
Ooh.
One of my all-time faves. Versus Edward Scissorhands.
It's Truman Show for me, man.
Woo!
It's Truman Show, and the uppercut is Jim Carrey giving an impeccable performance in the prime of his career, a performance that is absolutely unforgettable, and one that just sticks with you right in your soul, like deeper than your soul, in your gut. It lives with you. It lives there now. That's the flawless victory right there. It's Jim Carrey.
I love it. I talk about The Truman Show practically every episode or every other episode.
I was going to say, I think you've mentioned it a few times.
Pretty much because I believe that was, I believe I am Truman, living the Truman Show life. And I believe everyone around me, including you, Cam, are in on it. And I can't trust you fully, but I'm just going to try to walk through this life.
You got me.
Because I'm also scared of water, and I lost my dad when I was a baby. When I was on no, I didn't. But
in a boating accident, yeah.
In a crazy storm boating accident. No, it has to be Truman Show. I want to hear people. This was a tough one because I randomly kind of like threw these together without looking who was against who, and I could see a very clear fight for Edward Scissorhands. So if you would pick Edward Scissorhands versus Truman Show,
Yeah.
I want to know.
Listen, Edward Scissorhands is a great movie, and there are lots of Edward Scissorhands people out there, and I'm okay with that. But no, not this time.
It's a piece of art. It's just a masterpiece, The Truman Show. Next up, this is a tricky one. You ready for this? It is Pulp Fiction and Mrs. Doubtfire.
Ooh. I gotta go Mrs. Doubtfire because it has childhood significance. That's what gives it the upper hand. Pulp Fiction couldn't have childhood significance because I wasn't allowed to watch it, so it has to be Mrs. Doubtfire, which I love, and Robin Williams is incredible. And for me, the uppercut is the scene where he smashes his face in the pie and the clumps of the whipped cream are dropping in the coffee. Just a masterclass from Mr. Robin Williams. That scene, among many, are what puts it over the top.
Beautiful, beautiful. I got to go Pulp Fiction on this one. I got to. I just love Mr. Tarantino. I didn't understand this movie when I first watched it when I was like 11, and I did watch it too young. And now I've watched it like 4, 5, 6 times, and just it gets deeper and deeper for me every time.
That's
the
true.
left hook, of course, has to be the Travolta and Uma Thurman dance in the diner, man. It just gets me. It's just so magical and so iconic.
Movie magic.
Yes. How about one more? Let's go. This one. This is for the ladies out here. I hope you've seen both of these. I imagine you have. Ready?
Yes.
She's All That.
Ooh.
And Never Been Kissed.
Ooh, I thought it was gonna be Clueless. I was ready for Clueless. So I grew up with 2 older sisters. I am no stranger to the 90s rom-com genre at all. I'm very highly familiar with it. This is a toughie. Toughie. I think I gotta go Never Been Kissed. That's the one that really sticks in my memory. That's the one I feel like I could still recite scenes from that movie, and it's been, probably 15 years since I've seen a single scene of it. But yeah, going Never Been Kissed. It's a classic.
Beautiful, beautiful. I would also side with Never Been Kissed. There's something a little bit more, has more staying power with that. Not that Freddie Prinze Jr. and Rachel Lee Cook have anything. They owned the 90s. They really
That's right.
did.
We're not going to speak any ill in their direction.
No. They owned every 90s movie. But I got to say, Drew Barrymore, pretty fantastic. Never Been Kissed.
When Drew Barrymore, that Ever After... she was in some real bangers back then, and she was crushing it. You just can't.
Charlie's
you can't
Angels.
Touch it. Yeah, I know. You just can't touch it. It's too good. All right, that's Mortal Movies. Thanks, Kirk.
Mortal Movies.
Flawless victory. Love it. Good times. Thank you so much for that game. Those were some toughies. I want to hear what. Maybe we should. Maybe we spread out a few social posts with those and see how people fare. Just throw up the movie titles and be like, listen. Don't think about which one's better. Don't think about what. Just think in your soul, in your heart of hearts. It's almost like word association. If I throw these 2 movies out there, what's the one that first comes to mind? What's the one that sticks with you? I love it. I think that's a great way to go about it. You really get to know yourself through that exercise.
It's true.
Absolutely. Okay, that's our show. Real quick, we had a review and then a game. We're out of here. We're out. Some programming notes. I am going on vacation this week. So this episode of the podcast will drop on Friday. Like I said, we've got Spilled Popcorn dropping on Wednesday. Next week's podcast, I don't know what the future holds there. Maybe I'll do some best of stuff. Maybe we'll just keep you guys up to date on social, and we'll stay in contact that way. I don't know, but we will let you know as soon as that is finalized. So just stay frosty, stick with us there. Thank you guys so much for listening. We have been seeing the support lately and really, really loving it. We're so happy with the new format. We get to engage with you guys more. We get to have more episodes, talk about more stuff. It's a win-win. If you guys have any comments, questions, anything, you can get us on Discord. You can get us on social media. We're available. And don't forget to swing back and check out our Oscars coverage, because it was from an award perspective, a really interesting year, and we broke it down in some depth earlier this week on the pod. So go and check that out. But that's all we got for you. We're going to get on out of here. Thank you guys again so much for listening. As always, we have to give a special thanks to our executive producer, Ryan Spriggs, as well as our original music, which is by a little band called Rhetoric. Check those guys on Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon Music. We'll catch you guys later.
Talk to you then.